Aku dovia vai dar a fome, aku trouble la watu na bu. Aba faru la bu. Ko amara ba dipto tu. O manya no dipto tu. Zero. Itu chefwa.
Also coming up, President Akufo-Addo draws parallel lines between the dual citizenship case of James Gyakye and that of Adamusa Kande, urging Asin North voters to disregard recent comments on the matter by former President John Mahama. Still to come, residents of Noyem in the Bream North District of the Eastern Region threatened to resist the operations of large-scale mining company FGM, alleging land misappropriation by the chief of the town.
Very young girl, 14-year-old, raining time, had to use a shortcut to get to school. Unfortunately, illegal miners had come to do illegal activities. They did not cover the pit. The girl fell in, died. As a company, they had to hold us responsible for such an action. So we don't want any of such issues to happen again. That is why we are being proactive, in doing things now.
And later, Education Minister strongly refutes criticisms of free senior high school policy and underscores significant improvement in learning outcomes in Ghanaian schools.
Increasing enrollment did not diminish learning outcomes. And if you doubt it, look at what has happened at Kumasi High School. So when you hear people talking about, no, the free senior high school is rather hindering academic performance, tell them that is not the case. Go and look at the WAEC results and it will tell you that we have the best learning outcomes in this country last year.
If I watch the people on Voice Factory.
Voice Factory, the voice dynamism and all, the precision, the timing, the eloquence.
Bro.
If
I can sing.
No, it is well, Hansen, it is well.
Nana, if I could sing.
It is well.
You put in here in Ghana.
I mean, the God of talent knows how he shared it. So it is fine. I'm sure you have your own.
But the contestants are doing so well. I mean, watch them on Saturday.
You know who I sympathize with the most? The judges. Because their work is very, very difficult.
It's very difficult. I mean, this is not one of those that you watch and clearly you could see. Good talent by all standards.
Fierce competition.
I don't know if in-house we can choose favorites. Because we have my favorite already.
I don't think so. And it wouldn't be fair. It wouldn't be fair. Well, that said, let's get straight into the business of the day. Let's take you to the Asin North constituency because it's just about a day to go for the by-election and the various political parties have wrapped. All the bigwigs have shown up in the constituency. Let's take a look at how campaigning has been going in Asin North.
With just 2 days remaining until the Asin North by-elections, political parties are intensifying their campaign efforts ahead of the significant event. Meanwhile, the constituents are eagerly anticipating incident-free elections. Our correspondent, Calvin Stetter, brings us the latest update in the following report.
President Akufo-Addo has drawn a parallel between the dual citizenship case of James Gyakye and that of Adamusa Kande. Last week, former President John Dramani Mahama criticized the Supreme Court's decision to nullify James Gyakye's 2020 election victory and disqualify him from serving as an MP, deeming it absurd. However, while addressing a rally at Asin North, President Akufo-Addo urged constituents to dismiss Mahama's remark and instead rally support for the MPP parliamentary candidate, Charles Opoku.
6.5 years here before. We are living in America. And one of two are not here. And one of two are not here. Some of them we support the new power. Now, brother, who call you the other one? Who call you the power? Which is now someone else here. And say,
Certain sections of the township roads are currently undergoing construction, resulting in slippery conditions. Extra caution is being exercised to prevent any accident. Meanwhile, former President John Dramani Mahama has been in the constituency with the NDC's candidate James Jachikwesin campaigning ahead of the elections.
Abattoir senior maybe 2020 2016 neoma yeto abano debi we are here betui asen of persuasion kwa and betubi Ghana he no bi anto bi jesemo enti adesua monkasa emma Ghana ko nyina we say me mama obole bamboy sa by me to be obi dia wo baby on to me to be enso amani hu ayen na ya famu no nyame ede esimu so se asotwe amode be ma MPP amongo omobu se enioma enkoyi wo Ghana no odi ahyemo nsa asem no fa enti minya ya nkenne me ye asem no fini
CNR promises to be very, very interesting tomorrow. I mean, we have less than 24 hours to go into the constituency to elect a candidate or an MP to represent the constituency. I'm comparing to Kumewu. It's like the buzz around Asin North is more higher than that of Kumewu, and you'd agree that this is due to the manner in which the Supreme Court hearing and all of the former MP Jachikwesin happened, and even the current case that he's still facing in court.
I mean, rightly so on some of the legs that you've indicated, and also because of the nature of Asin North, the constituency itself, and also on issues of the level of interest that it has garnered. Now, if you look at Asin North, we are going to 2024 elections next year. Now, Asin North, a number of analysts have indicated that what will happen in Asin North will create a better verdict on what may happen in 2024.
Right.
Because unlike in Kumewu, where it was a stronghold of the NPP, in Asin North, as the constituency is currently, since it was carved out, since Asin Central was carved out of it, the NPP nor the NDC cannot in any way claim that they have dominance over the constituency, because NDC won it. NDC won it in 2012, I believe, and then in 2016 went to NPP, and then in 2020 came back to the NDC. And so, looking at it, you would say that it creates a replica of your swing constituencies. And so, if you are looking for any constituency to tell you how Ghanaians really feel, it will be Asin North. And so, both parties are seeking to use it to tell Ghanaians and to prove a point that Ghanaians still agree with their message. So, for the NPP, for instance, it wants to make the point that Ghanaians acknowledge that the many challenges you say we face actually are as a result of other factors than what have been described as the incompetence or the non-performance of the government. The NDC is seeking to make the point that Ghanaians are ready for a change, and this was reflected in Asin North. Secondly, has to do with how the by-election came about. Usually when by-elections come about as a result of death, there's usually that form of sympathy. And even though you may want to campaign, you may want to wrestle power from the political party that holds it at that particular point in time, the human instincts come out because a family, a political party has lost someone. And so usually, even though if you campaign, you'll be restricted in some of the things that you don't go all out. Now, in this instance, it's not as a result of death. And so on the first start, everybody is in full swing. All arsenals deployed. The second, as you rightly indicated, the manner in which it has happened. And when we go into the dynamics in previous shows that we'll be doing later, you get to understand that unlike Kumewu, where we raise the point about how the economic conditions may be a great factor in whether the people of Kumewu vote for the NPP's candidate or the NDC's candidate. In Asin North, we should be looking at issues of what is happening to Gyakye Quayson with respect to the Supreme Court decision and respect to the criminal case that he is facing. It is not surprising that you get both political parties campaigning greatly on that leg. The NDC essentially listening to some of them, and even former President Mahama. The point they've made is that this is an opportunity to actually indicate that injustice has been meted out to Gyakye Quayson, and by extension, injustice has been meted out to the people of Asin North. You hear the president yesterday drawing some form of comparison between the case of Gyakye Quayson and Adamu Sakande. The NPP on the grassroots level in their campaigns and what our people on the ground have told us, that they are effectively telling the people that if you vote for this man, he's going to jail. There's a likelihood that he'll go to jail. And so you won't have an MP. You don't have to, so you come back to square one. And so that is playing a key role as to how the constituents will take these two messages. We will see it by the end of tomorrow. When they go to cast their ballot. And again, you look at the fact that Asin North seems to look at personalities and not necessarily NPP, NDC. Even though they voted for NPP, NDC, if you look at the margins, it's usually the party winning gets about close to 55%, and then the party losing gets like about 40%, and then in some instances, the party winning gets about 57%. And then the party losing gets about 38%. Now, that is interestingly a sharp difference from what you would ordinarily see in your usual constituencies that are not dominated by any political parties. You see that it's a very close call. And so these people voted for Gyakye Quayson in 2020, where they gave him 55.2% of the votes. Do they still love him that much to give him close to that 55.2%? Mind you that in 2016, the person who contested for the MPP got 56.8% in 2016. And she dropped all the way in 2016 from the 56.8% to 44.8%. And so they may like you and may dislike you in the next election. And so all these will go at play as to what will happen tomorrow. But it's truly an interesting one. The other thing that cuts across issues of projects ongoing and as to how it may or it may not affect the choice of
course, the allegations and counter allegations of vote buying
and the rest. All these will come in our by-election. Usually when it gets to these points, I will refrain from making comments on some of these things because we've said it. We've said it for a number of times that we can't allow our politics to be driven by giving goodies to people and they paying out. But the political parties really don't seem to care.
I heard the former Speaker of Parliament, Prof. Michael Quay, over the weekend saying that the monocracy will harm our democracy.
The signs are there. The signs are there. And see, you cannot, and when sometimes you hear people in civil society sometimes say, you take the money but don't vote for the person. If the person has taken it, the level of inducement, you really cannot in any way control that the person has taken it, but he will go and vote for the right person. It may not happen. And so, going forward, it's something that we need to work on as a people.
We should find ways to end the monetization of our politics.
If they continue to go this way, and that's when politicians complain about vote buying, I don't want to give them a listening ear.
They know the game they are playing.
They know the game they are playing. If they get the opportunity, they will do it. And so you have done it. Somebody is doing it.
When tables turn.
When tables turn, you are complaining. You won't
Yeah.
take a decision for us to end it once and for all. And so vote buying will come in. And it's because of their own doing. That is why vote buying will come in. And they should take it squarely. Whether MPP or NDC, they have caused it. And that's why vote buying will come in.
Let me digress just a little bit, but still in Asin North. I want to know if you've studied the data and with respect to who wins the presidential, how they vote there. Because they are giving whoever they vote for as MP such high percentages. Is it reflective of the presidential election as well?
Well, when it comes to presidential, we can pull out the results clearly. But you see, so Asin North has been, so there was Asin North from 1996, and then it moves to, in 2012, becomes Asin Central. And so in analyzing it, you have to look at it from two different points of view of when it was Asin North and when it was Asin Central. I'm unable to get the
That's fine. I was just hoping to draw some comparisons between who they favor, irrespective of the political or the individual, whether they favor a particular party for president, but when it comes to the member of parliament, they choose individuals. I hope you get what I'm trying to.
I get the point, and we would have to go into detail to look at whether or not it has a correlation. This is not something that I can give at the moment. But I think that Global Info Analytics has done some survey on that. into particularly on the parliamentary election.
Great stuff.
And what we are told is that it's a close call. The results, as I saw on the Twitter handle of Global Info Analytics, puts the NPP candidate just about a 1 percentage point above the NDC's candidate. And then there are about 6% of respondents and by extension voters who have not decided yet. And so
are they waiting for the highest bidder?
And so even though the survey as they've put out, which in past elections like in Kumago, which they got it right, puts the NPP's candidate ahead. You cannot ignore the 6%. mind you, when it comes to parliamentary election, all you need is a simple majority.
Yeah.
And so if there's 6%,
whichever way they tilt towards,
whichever way they tilt towards might change the dynamic. But it's an interesting one, as our reporters on the ground and our sources on the ground have told us. Members of, if you see the videos, members of parliament walking through water, going into villages.
Charlie, the two commanders in chief are there.
Everybody
the president is there. Former President Mahama is there. Charlie, all guns blazing.
You see, in Kumewu, we saw a semblance of this.
Yeah.
But usually in Kumewu, what we saw was that they go, Mahama, for instance, in Kumewu, went to meet the chiefs and met a couple of NDC executives, and that was it.
Yeah.
President Akufo-Addo, Vice President Bawumia, in Kumewu, went to in Kumewu, just went for the rally. Here you see, I think, was it President Akufo-Addo was playing football, and Dr. Bawumia is commissioning projects.
John Mahama is doing funny film and all that.
Funny film. John Mahama is going. He's meeting the people in the evening and night.
Yeah. And he's telling them that he wished his vote was in Asin North.
It's a serious one.
Interesting times ahead. I mean, tomorrow we'll be there. We'll be bringing you live coverage, and so you'd want to stay with us here on City TV as the by-election for the Asin North constituency unfolds tomorrow. We'll be bringing you all the nitty-gritties. We'll go into the constituency itself and bring you the election or the electoral process, the voting, the collation, and the results, and of course the declaration of a winner. So stay with us here on City TV for all that. But for now, let's take you to the Volta region, where the Aveno Traditional Council is calling for calm following some police-civilian clashes in the area.
Continues on City TV. Let's settle for details of our stories now. And amidst the unfortunate loss of civilian lives and the resulting tension between the police and civilians, the Aveno Traditional Area, the Aveno Traditional Council, has called for calm and unity during these challenging times. The council, in a statement, expressed deep condolences to the family of Mandela Zanu, CEO of Nezu Yaira Ventures, following his tragic killing on June 20, 2023. The council emphasized that Mandela Zanu's murder is a criminal matter that falls under the jurisdiction of the Ghana Police Service, and urged the community to support and allow the police to fulfill their responsibilities in investigating the case. There's more in this report by our correspondent, Benjamin Aklama.
This is the spot in Bagblakopper, a suburb of Akachi, where the 30-year-old Nelson Mandela Zanu met his untimely death. He was allegedly shot right at the spot, barely some 50 meters away from his house, where he was sending some sachet water packs to his wife and children. He's alleged to have closed from work around 7 p.m. with a sum of about 18,000 Ghana cedis and some mobile phones in his bag until he met his untimely death right at the spot. The family says they are hopeful that the security agencies would help to find the perpetrators.
Momo office via not ni Toblaragba Akpa Afi about 7:30 na mo bona ba ko mako na ku do via dara ko na trouble na ba ko mako aba faru na ko ko amara ba de ko tu mo manya no de ko tu je do ko chefwa java no ko la yo ame do ba tu ke dia aeroporto la police ya java no jinko ko to ba ko la so suana ni garo fia ba rafia na sema na yetu jani kajoy ni no mo ko ba mi ko ma kai tutu yo ona tani ba fia ma de jini ba ni mo kata to lama globa povito kuna assembly to mo do lo won ya la pa o baba jama la gbogbo disi ya wa do gbelani ampi apa mama lio kaka fa mo do dova povito kwa maga ha do mo rana ne to ka fi fle ku ne ga cho povito wa maga ba ta komanda ha ga yo mo apa ta to la kaka ho ya ga ba fi ne da ta ba lu do man chi
Doka mo la choncho bunya na nya yo la mara lo la mara
au uma la mara ka araka blonami kaka oba go do machonota go mushia jito gakera maunchi.
So this is where Mandela and his colleague, commercial motorbike riders, ply their trade. As you can see them parked up there. This is where they normally congregate to get their customers. And a few meters away from here, some 20 meters away from here, is where he had this mobile money vending joint, and that is where he operates the mobile money business. Unfortunately, his untimely death occurred a few weeks ago, and riders who are his colleagues here say that they are greatly disturbed by that development and are hoping that the authorities and the security agencies will come to their aid tirelessly to secure their lives, since this is not the first time this is happening.
So sad for us. We are not expecting it because we are here together discussing issues before the incidents happen in the evening around 7 to 8 that way. So it's very sad for us, especially we at the St. Paul's Hospital, the motor riders over here.
This is not the first time I think like this has happened. How are you dealing with it?
Mostly when things happens like this, when we stood as a youth in Akachi, when we stood up and we normally demand our leaders to take part so that we can support them. They are not ready to lead us into those things like that. So we are calling on them that from now, this Mandela issue should not be the last one. So we want them to enter. We want them to intervene.
You mean it should be the last one?
Yeah.
You mean the Mandela issue should be the last one?
The Mandela one should be the last one for us. So we are calling upon them to stand against these activities that are happening these days, especially in Akachi.
The Venue Traditional Council calls for calm in these difficult times of recurrent incidents of loss of civilian lives and consequent police-civilian tension. The Council resolved as follows: that the murder of our son, Mandela Zanu, although painful and difficult to accept, remains a criminal matter which falls squarely within the remit of the duties of personnel of the Ghana Police Service. The Council wishes to urge all sons and daughters of Aveno to allow and support the police to fully discharge their duties in the matter. The youth and all other persons who have information should give them to the police to help expedite their resolution of the murder.
Well, condolences to the family of the deceased, and for no mean an institution but the traditional council of the area to call for calm, I think is a step in the right direction. What is important now is for police to expedite investigations into the killing of the gentleman, to bring justice and, of course, some level of closure to the family and the residents in the area.
I mean, I think that the intervention by the traditional council is welcome and it's timely, because usually when you get some of these things, you may get reactions that would not yield the necessary results that may lead to unnecessary tensions. And so for them to step ahead and to caution the residents to allow the police to do their work is a good one, because recently, I think on June 21, a youth group in Akachi came out with a statement asking the police to make sure that perpetrators of the crime are arrested and prosecuted. And the wording of that statement to a certain point seemed to suggest that the youth group seem not to be seeing what the police is doing when it comes to some of these things. And you know how in certain communities, some of these distrust with the police in handling issues such as this have resulted in tensions. You can make an example of Sogakope when that businessman was killed. Because the youth group at the time in Sogakope thought that the police were not doing their best, it brought about a number of violent demonstrations, burning of ties, and I remember when we were there to report, eventually they attacked the police station They were throwing stones at the police officers.
We were on the heritage caravan at the time, and our bus had to be stopped.
Yes,
because the youth had blocked the entire road.
So you were on the heritage caravan.
Yeah.
That was on a Sunday.
Yeah.
On a Sunday, they blocked you were on the bridge.
Yes.
About descending, they blocked
it.
And you couldn't go. Went there on Monday, and Monday, just moments before, and you know, when the heritage caravan bus had left, the news was that calm had restored. And then the Monday, we decided to go and interrogate issues and see how authorities were addressing it. And just like you, when we just got to the bridge, there was traffic, and we decided to get out to catch a glimpse of what was happening. And again, that was a protest that later degenerated into exchange of the police shooting at protesters pelting them with stones, and so we do not want to see some of these things. And so
it's quite important that
the traditional authorities
intervening at this point. Very important, rightly so. You're watching CNR Extra here on City TV. Still ahead. Residents of Noyem in the Brim North District of the Eastern Region threatened to resist the operations of large-scale mining company FGM, alleging land misappropriation by the chief of the town. Stay with us. We'll be right back with the details.
City TV is live on DSTV. Find us on channel 363. On GoTV, we're on channel 117. And on HD Plus, get us on channel 108. On a digital TV, run a new search, but take note that without an antenna, you cannot access City TV. City TV can be accessed on any free-to-air digital box like the GoTV and HD Plus boxes. City TV, it's your world.
Welcome back. This is CNR Extra here on City TV. Let's take you to the Eastern Region, where residents of Noyem are up in arms against a large-scale mining company, accusing the company of misappropriation of their lands. Take a look at this.
From the Volta region, let's move to the Eastern region, and over 1,500 residents of Noyem, a farming and mining community in the Brim North District, who are engaging in illegal mining as a source of livelihood, are threatening to resist the operations of a large-scale mining company, FGM Mining Company, a sister company of Akroma Gold Limited in the area. The residents, who have admitted to engaging in Galamsey, accuse the chief of Noyem of selling off family lands to the mining company. There's more in this report by City News' Neil Ni Amate Kanako.
As part of efforts to prevent a recurrence of the unfortunate incident in Obuasi, where some illegal miners got trapped in a mine shaft after invading the concession of a large-scale mining company, two large-scale mining companies operating in the Eastern region, Akroma Gold Limited and FGM Mining Company, have commenced an operation to reclaim all mined and uncovered pits by illegal miners who have invaded their concessions in the Brim North District. The two-day exercise, supervised by a task force, first got to a site where illegal miners were seen actively engaging in mining with two excavators, but took to their heels swimming on seeing the task force. The miners had blocked the flow of the Brim River and mining with impunity, destroying several hectares of cocoa and palm plantations. The task force subsequently confiscated the two excavators. The deputy director in charge of operations for Akroma Gold, Emmanuel Minta, spoke to City News about the activities of these illegal miners.
A very young girl, 14-year-old, raining time, had to use a shortcut to get to school. Unfortunately, illegal miners had come to do illegal activities there. They did not cover the pit. The girl fell in, died. As a company, they had to hold us responsible for such an action. So we don't want any of such issues to happen again. That is why we are being proactive, in doing things now.
The team's next stop was at Noyim, where the company, FGM Mining Company, had recently acquired a concession. Sources indicate that over 1,000 residents are actively engaging in illegal mining at the site on a daily basis. The miners, who were previously farmers, both males and females, young and old, have invaded a newly acquired concession of the mining company and have connected electricity deep down into the mine shaft, mining day and night with explosives. According to the mining company, who are yet to begin operations in the area, the attention was brought to the fact that the illegal miners are using explosive deep down in the shaft, a situation which shakes the structures and properties in the area whenever there is a blast. The company, which moved in to reclaim the land and cover up the shaft with their task force, met strong resistance from the miners and residents.
Applied 2 times.
You've done what?
I have applied for soldier and police for 2 times. Right now, even I have applied for police, but still they said that almost 3 years before they will take us. Why? So what do you want me to eat? What do you want me to eat? As a young boy like me, my father has died. So what do you want me to eat? My father died at the age of 8 years. When I was 18 years, then my father lived this earth. So what do you want me to eat till now? I have passed my worship. So what again? What am I waiting for? Huh? What am I waiting for again?
So, is that the reason you are engaging in Galamsey?
Yeah, I don't have any job to do. Because I don't know. I don't want a situation whereby I will sit at home every day. My mom will be suffering and thinking about me, what I will eat, what I will wear, what I will do. No, it's not good. So I need to work for myself. Please, do you get me? I need to work for myself. Because if my father is alive, I will never and ever do this job. Never. My father will never allow me. My father is the environmental head officer. Main environmental head officer. Blimnoff. The whole Blimnoff. My father is the main. You get it? So if my father is around, I will never and ever do this job. Even this job I'm doing, my mother's heart is not in it. Did you get me? So this is not saying just that we are here for this job. No, we are not here for this job. Not all of us. I have completed SHS and I have passed it. I get 2 A's. You get me? 2 A's. A1, 2, B2, 3. Adam, why? So what do you want me to do again? What do you want to do again? So you take us almost 3 years before you take. So if the 3 years come, then I'm not alive. What about?
My dear, Muya Mabo, Baby, a shaggy come up. You told Mrs. Tamami, so we're not at the show. I did no wire to cut baby from the Chabaya, or Mutama.
Galamsey now here.
I want my son to employ my new mammy. This is down so I'm from
your person is there. You be a vision. The Batian so Mabakatam. They were down playing. I don't know Mabakatam. By Omadi Kaba, Abacasa Mabakatam. By money on Henry Goodingo. Only on Goodingo, the agenda on Henry Fraying. Not going to get to Kumania, Sibia, send us in the airport. Because I do be anywhere, I hope from I do we are the ends at the back of it. Where is the ideas of Piano? Yes, I'm wishing you.
The Deputy Director in charge of operations for Akroma Gold, Emmanuel Minta, has been speaking to City News about their decision to reclaim the mine site, which is being occupied by the residents.
What you see here today is not anything different. It's what we term it to be a reclamation exercise. Many years ago, the owners of this concession had already developed some shaft for an underground mining. It's been left open for a very long time. So illegal miners have taken advantage of it, and here is where they mine to feed their families, as they claimed this morning. You saw them. Regardless of that, we have had complaints from the community about 2 or 3 weeks ago that people keep on blasting within the shaft. So when it happens as such, it shakes their community, their development, their structures and all that. So they tend to come to our office to complain that they beg us we should hold on to the blasting and either relocate them before we do anything else. But we keep on telling them that we have not even started work yet. Yeah. we are now putting our office structures and other stuff. So then we did our investigation showed that there were illegal miners operating here day and night. So what can we do as a company? Because we can't be there and the community will be complaining to us and we just be like, we don't just show any concern about it. So as a management, what we decided to do was to go round the concession and see where the developments are being done.
The community members who say their livelihoods are being taken away from them complain that if the action succeeds, they might be forced into robbery.
It's important that authorities move in and begin investigations now before this escalates, because we've seen in other areas where same level of agitations between community members and a mining company have led to serious confrontations, even at times injuries.
We need to look at it carefully. I mean, the residents know that what they are doing is not right.
Clearly,
and they've
clearly. If you listen to them, they've admitted
to the tip. Only to make the argument that that is their source of livelihood. We've always made the point that even though we encourage government to create employment opportunities and expect that it does same, the fact that you don't have a job does not in any way justify the degradation of the environment. And so any efforts that will be taken to make sure that this is addressed amicably and to avoid any further degradation of the land is one that authorities should be concerned about. And generally, when it comes to some of these issues, you would the concern here is that they were not given enough notice. That is what the residents are saying. And if you listen to one of them, they're saying that even though the company came there to inform them and also notified the chief, they were expecting the chief to have engaged the community before this. But at least there's some bit of understanding to start with that they don't own the concession, except that they say that their lands have been given out wrongly by the chiefs to the company. They also agree that what they are engaging in is illegal. And what all they need are employment opportunities. So at least we have
some level of admission,
and baseline facts that we can operate with. And I don't think that this should escalate to what we've seen in other places where to a point when even miners will be trapped inside a pit and endangering human life. The human life is so precious that we need not put.
Is the company big enough to finally, when it begins operations, employ some of these people to put the matter to rest?
I don't think that a company will be able to employ all of them. They are talking about 1,500 residents who are engaging in this. But that's the point that we always talk about, the company making sure that their presence is felt.
Local content.
The local content. I mean, even if you're employing 200 out of these and you are remunerating them appropriately, the rippling effect can touch the other 1,300. So you're employing 200. I guess out of these 200, out of the 1,005, you may get about 1/3 who are from the same family or related. Somebody, as a result of this employment, may create a business of selling food, and then they'll be buying. So a local economy can be created, and that has been
the
argument.
food industry there is going to improve. The services industry there is going to improve. Even health, medical. I mean,
once the residents see value, and that's what they're saying. If they see value with what you are bringing, I'm not sure they would even risk their lives. And so there's that responsibility, and it's even to the advantage of the mining company, aside closing this, to give some form of assurance to the people that when they start operating, they will operate in such a way that will be beneficial to the company, one, to the residents themselves and to the community at large. Talk about projects, talk about their CSR. They can take some of the road projects, hospital projects, some of the amenities that the community lacks. And if they do this, I don't expect them to have any issues with the residents. But you begin to have issues when you tend to ignore the community totally.
Right. Interesting stuff. You're watching CNR Extra here on City TV. Still ahead. Education Minister strongly refutes criticisms of free senior high school policy and underscores significant improvements in learning outcomes in Ghanaian schools. Stay with us, we'll tell you more shortly.
The day of a competition, from the shores to the pools to the beaches across the land. If you fancy yourself a competitive swimmer, this is for you. The City TV National Swimming Championships is happening on the 15th and the 16th of July 2023 at the Trust Sports Emporium. To register, WhatsApp your name, age, and contact details to 0558 973 973 or call 0205 973 973. The City TV National Swimming Championships is brought to you by City TV with support from 97.3 City FM and the Ghana Swimming Association.
You're welcome back. This is CNR Extra on City TV. Let's take you to the education sector, where the sector minister is disagreeing with critics of the free senior high school policy.
For Education, Dr. Yawase Duchum has responded to critics of the free senior high school policy, affirming that the policy's focus on increasing enrollment has not negatively impacted learning outcomes in Ghanaian schools. He emphasized that the government's commitment to transforming the education sector is reflected in the results of the 2022 West Africa Senior School Certificate Examination. Reporting from the Ashanti region, City News correspondent is Hafiz Tijani. He has been providing an update on the Education Minister's remarks.
The Education Minister highlighted the government's achievement in effectively implementing the free SHS policy and its emphasis on improving both enrollment rates and learning outcomes.
Increasing enrollment did not diminish learning outcomes. And if you doubt it, look at what has happened at Kumasi High School. So when you hear people talking about, no, the free senior high school is rather hindering academic performance, tell them that is not the case. Go and look at the WAEC results and it will tell you that we have the best learning outcomes in this country last year. The last 8 years, the best result was 2022 results. We created an incentive grant program. So teachers are given extra money to provide extra support. That was not the case before free senior high school. In addition to that, we ensure that every student has core textbooks. That was not the case before free senior high school. Now science students have been given biology, chemistry, physics, elective maths textbooks. That was not the case before free senior high school. We hired additional teachers. That was not the case before free senior high school. So the free senior high school was implemented in a way to take away the devil of low academic achievement. Consequently, Ghana has done something that is not seen in many places around the world. You increase enrollment, increase learning outcomes at the same time. This project has been executed very well, and I want to assure you, all those listening and all those here, that we are not gambling with the future of your children because we know exactly what to do and we're executing it very well.
Speaking at the 60th anniversary launch of Kumasi High School in the Ashanti region, Dr. Educhum also announced that the Education Ministry plans to recruit personnel who will be responsible for maintaining facilities in senior high schools.
Where did you see maintenance culture anywhere in the world? What they have is a maintenance budget. And they have a maintenance staff. So, in the next few weeks, we are going to recruit 100 plant managers for our high schools, estate officers who are coming to schools like this to make sure that buildings are maintained, to make sure they have a maintenance schedule, and they maintain our buildings.
Established in 1964, Kumasi High School has played a significant role in training individuals who now hold key positions in both the public and private sectors of Ghana's workforce.
Well, it can be debated what the minister is saying. I mean, with every policy, there are the pros and the cons. Where you need to draw the line is what outweighs what. Are the pros more? Then, of course, we build on it. If the cons are more, there's a need for a review. And I think that's been the core over the period. I don't think whoever we are describing as critics here don't want the policy at all. Perhaps certain aspects of it they want reviewed so it can be better improved, better implemented, better executed. And I don't think this is a bad call. So we should not be treating it as though somebody hates the policy or is fighting against
given to us by law that governments ought to work to make secondary level education free. And so I don't think that anybody at all would disagree with the idea of making education at the senior high school level free. The point has been the rollout of the policy, the mode of implementation, and its attendant effect, not only on the quality of education, but generally on our expenditure line and how it's affected the finances of the country. I mean, from the NPP, they've maintained their stance that the free senior high school policy is not one that they seek to change in any way as far as its implementation is concerned. I mean, recently there was a report where it was indicated that the free SHS policy, the funding of it perhaps have been wrongly targeted. There are still a number of issues with it that we have to improve. Talk about issues of infrastructure. Talk about schools who still run the double track system, getting the calendar accurate. I mean, if you listen to some parents, they sometimes they wonder what time their kids get to study, because they go to school, they come back, spend quite a number of period at home before they go back to school. I mean, these are issues that government ought to be looking at bettering. But the government stands on criticisms against the free senior high school policy, as you stated, as though you can only be for us or you can be against us, which shouldn't be. We cannot in any way build a country like that. And we need to build it in such a way that people with dissenting opinions can bring these opinions, and these will be considered objectively. And even if refused, there will be objective reasons why we are not going according to it, but not just push them aside just because that you have the perception as though the person is against the policy.
But it's good what the minister is saying. I mean, we are interested in the positive outcomes, improvement in the learning outcomes of students. But thank you very much, Hansen Ajiman. Thank you also so very much for joining us this morning here on CNR Extra. There's more news when you log on to our website, citynewsroom.com. My name is Nana Tufo Boati. Many thanks to you for watching.